What's that one thing that you learned that you use all the time? You probably use things you've learned all the time without even noticing. Maybe tying your shoes or brushing your teeth. These are the obvious ones, like riding a bike, for instance. But maybe something that you do now, like, I don't know, cooking at least one meal without a recipe. I should probably work on that one a bit more myself, to be honest. But something I learned way back in grade school, 11th grade to be exact, was how to type. I know, odd, but it's honestly been one of those tools in life that I cannot imagine never knowing. So what is that one thing? What is that life lesson that you just can't imagine not knowing? Right? I'd be curious. You can drop me an email if you would like, chad@calmitdownpodcast.com. But all to say, typing is one of those things, especially with this podcast. It's just one of those simple things I can't imagine not knowing in life. So, what is your life lesson? What is that one thing that you're so grateful that you learned? Because I have a really big question for you here in just a second. But if you want to drop me a note and let me know what that one skill that I must learn, drop me a note, chad@calmitdownpodcast.com. But again, what is that one life lesson? I'm Chad Lawson, and let's calm it down in 3, 2, 1. Over the last 2 years of 72 episodes, 73 counting today's, what lessons from this podcast have stuck with you? It's an interesting question, right? One that I actually kind of asked myself recently. I heard someone say the other day, bring an understanding of what you want to get out of something. I'm going to say that again because it really struck me. I haven't forgotten it. Bring an understanding of what you want to get out of something. In other words, why do we do the things that we do? The more I think about it, to get what you want of something, you need to understand it first. You need to understand what you want. And understanding is the key. Because without understanding or recognizing where you are now and where you want to be, it will be difficult to accomplish anything. So it begs the question for me to ask, why do you listen to this podcast? What is it that you hope to get out of these 15-minute weekly episodes? Perhaps a confidence booster, which is great, and maybe a sense of hope. Perhaps I'll finally reveal my wife's chocolate chip cookie recipe. But in all truth, what path are you on? And if you're not on a path, how come? There's always that little area that we can address in our life, no matter what it may be. It's an odd question, I know. But if we don't have at least an idea of a destination, we're kind of going in circles from one episode to the other. But if there's something you've heard that really, really struck home with you, I'm going to ask a strong question. Are you taking the steps to continue the progress? I hope so. Nothing would make me happier. I've been thinking about the last 2 years of Calm It Down, and it's interesting how some episodes in particular seem to resonate so deeply. And it's also interesting when some of you find the podcast, as even the other day, someone referenced one of the very first episodes. I love this about podcasts. I mean, they're forever waiting and will always be there when you're ready to listen. But I want to highlight a number of episodes that many of you have written after hearing. It blesses me tremendously. And sometimes it's an episode I would have never imagined. So consider this, if you will, the Calm It Down top 5. Maybe there's one or two you've missed or that you just need to hear again. Take out a pencil and paper and write these down. And this is really important. So make sure you go all the way through this list. It's short, I promise. Okay? Number 5. What do you say to a 10-year-old? This was the 3rd episode ever of Calm It Down. And I had a teacher write saying how he printed out the list from the episode and gave them to his students in his class. Oh, I have chills right now. Another person wrote, and she created this list as a gift designed as flowers for a 10-year-old's birthday. Ugh, so touching, both of these stories. If you missed this episode, what do you say to a 10-year-old? Go back to the beginning of Calm It Down. It's really worth some words of encouragement. And, spoiler alert, it's not just for kids. Number 4, missing it while waiting. From driver's license to graduation to having kids, we all have this endless array of boxes that we can check off in life if we so desire. Our attention is so often dialed in to this preconceived happened that we miss the happening altogether. Maybe while we're waiting for those milestones in life to happen, we're actually missing what's really happening while we're waiting. I'm going to say that again. Maybe while we're waiting for those milestones in life to happen, we're missing completely what's happening while we're waiting. Please take a moment to find that episode, Missing It While Waiting. Number 3, you are not a fish. The importance of self-worth. I love this episode. We're each uniquely and beautifully different. I love that. And while we each have traits and talents that they are our own, what happens when we strip those things away? Who are we at our core? Well, one thing I can rest assured is to tell you that you are not a fish. So check out that episode, You Are Not a Fish, the importance of self-worth. Number 2, one of my personal favorites, and I heard from so many of you on this episode. Regrets are so 15 minutes ago. Believe it or not, regret can be a reward when we look at it the right way. It's life's way of correcting our perspective and encouraging us to try again and to learn a lesson from our past and lean into a path that you may already be on, but you don't realize it. Regrets are so 15 minutes ago. Please check that one out. I love that one. And finally, number 1. And this one is a really hard one for me personally. It is, which is probably why I'm still chewing through it all. I've never been able to just sit idle, to wait for things to happen. I've always been a very get your hands dirty, just dive in and go after it. And so this one I have to remind myself the importance of. But the number 1 episode is do absolutely nothing. No, really. It's really hard. It was really, really hard to come up with these 5. As each episode I kept wanting to add, though I am kind of biased, but that last one, do absolutely nothing, that one is a doozy for me. And I have to be honest, I wouldn't be a good host if I didn't take my own advice every now and then. Last year, the podcast took a summer break, starting in June, and I feel it's only proper if I practice what I preach, or practice what I suggest at least. There are so many episodes and so many ideas that I have that I want to share with you. And so many have written in asking about this subject or that subject or this question. But I need to take the summer to pause, to reflect, to engage, not only with myself, but with my family, with nature, and also with being a pianist. You have my email address, chad@cometdownpodcast.com. And as I asked at the top of this episode, what is your intention? What's your intention of this podcast? Take a moment to ask yourself, have I taken the tools given in these 72 episodes? Am I applying them? Because if not, then what steps should I take to get back on course? If so, that's wonderful as well, but sometimes it helps hearing things more than once. Take these summer months and maybe focus on just 2 or 3 of the past episodes. Take notes, write in a journal, take a walk, and just chew and let this resonate on how you can put these steps into your everyday. Listen, I love each and every one of you, as you are all so wonderful, and I'm at a loss for words. How we're 70-some episodes in this together. Thank you. Thank you. You bring me so much life, and I cannot wait to return refreshed and renewed and ready to continue this journey together in September. Much sincere love and gratitude to each of you. Drop me a note, make sure you wear suntan lotion, send me a postcard, and be kind to your mind. Have a great summer. Until September. To find more episodes of Comet Down, hear the musical playlist from today's episode, or simply wanting to know where to send chocolate chip cookies, visit cometdownpodcast.com. You're not alone. You are not alone. This podcast was written and produced by yours truly, Chad Lawson, composer, pianist, and nationally recognized sweet tooth. And now something my attorney wants me to say. The views, expressions, and techniques in this episode are of my personal opinion and is not intended to, nor should they serve as a substitute for medical advice or diagnosis rendered to you by your individual doctor or other healthcare provider. Only a licensed physician should evaluate your situation, provide a diagnosis, or render other medical advice to you, and you should only act upon the advice of such physician. Now, what I like to say. I am an extreme empath by nature, but my profession is that of a composer and pianist, not a licensed therapist or physician. I hear from thousands of listeners how my music has helped them through various stages of emotional needs, and I simply want to offer this and future podcasts in aiding those needs. To find a list of licensed professionals in your area, please visit cometdownpodcast.com. And finally, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review. While it takes less than 60 seconds to do, its impact will last for years to come, as every little bit helps in growing the awareness and the importance of emotional health. I'm Chad Lawson, and until next time, be kind to your mind, and join me next week as we calm it down.